Well, I'll do algebra, I'll do trig, and I'll even do statistics. But graphing is where I draw the line. Get it? And we're going to be doing some cumulative frequency distributions and looking at the graphs today. So first of all, cumulative frequency tables. We've been doing frequency tables, and in fact, let me go ahead and start filling this out. I've got this example of the graphing skills quiz, and you can see I'm putting in the tallies here, and I'll go ahead and finish it up right here. Okay, so then I fill in the frequencies, and we've been doing that all along. And we've even done percent frequency. So this is the relative frequency, 15%. How do I know that? If I add all these up, I get 20. It's almost like I did it on purpose. There's 10 plus, put these two with the 3, that's 5. With 5 is 10, there's 20. 3 out of 20 is 15%. 4 out of 20 is 20%. 5 out of 20 is a quarter, or 25%, 5%, 30%, and 5%. Now, the new thing we're going to be doing is cumulative frequency. And so basically that means I'm going to add up all the frequencies up to that point. So right here, initially, I don't have any frequencies before this, so this starts with the 15%. So I'm using that point. For this next one, I add the 20% to this. So 20% plus 15% is 35. 35 plus 25 is 60. 60 plus 5 is 65. 65 plus 30 is 95. And 95 plus 5 is 100. If I don't make it all the way to 100 and exactly 100, then there's an error somewhere. So you've got your nice frequency table, and we're going to go ahead and make a relative frequency graph and a cumulative frequency graph. So let's start with the relative frequency graph, and this one's going to look like a histogram. So I've got 15% from 0 to 19. I went ahead and made my bar center and everything, so it's nice. And then from, then we've got 4 here, or 20%, 25%, 5%, 30%, and 5%. And I can actually use this relative frequency graph to answer questions like before, like which interval contains the most student scores? Well, the highest one right here, which is basically the 79.5 to 99.5, or since we're looking at integers in our interval, the 80 to 99. This is an appropriate way to set up your interval right here with the 0.5s. It's less of an issue with the integers, since most of the stuff we deal with is integers. Okay. Then what percent got between 0 and 60? Well, on this graph from 0 to 60 is pretty much these folks right here, right? And, well, I have to add up the 15, the 20, and the 25 based off of this, right? And I get 60%. Now let's go ahead and look at a cumulative frequency graph. And you can see I've already got my point here. Starting at 20, I'm pretty much using the bar dividers. 15%, you could argue I could put that at 19.5, but this is close enough. We're eyeballing. Then we got 35, 60, 65, 95, and then finally 100%. And connecting them with a line, that's my cumulative frequency graph. So we're going to use this to find out what percent got between 0 and 60. Now, since this adds up everything before, it's kind of like a normal distribution when we use the tables. I don't have to add up these points. This tells me how much is before 60, and guess what? Happens to be 60%, which makes sense. I'm getting the same answer for my cumulative frequency graph as I got for my relative frequency graph. What percent got less than an 80? So I'd look up here. Oh, it looks like it's 65%. What percent got more than an 80? Now, these don't do the more than. You have to do 100% minus the original, or 35%. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and practice interpreting an ogive. These are called ogives, by the way, also known as a cumulative frequency graph. And we're going to, first of all, approximate the median. Now, this one's a little different because it doesn't show percent. But I can still use it because I can see that I have 40 in my count, so that'll make life pretty easy. And the median between 0 and 40 would be at 20, right? So 20 is half the count, and I can see that it's 7, roughly. So I would say the median is approximately 7. Now I want to approximate the IQR. Well, the IQR is the middle 50%. Well, the middle 50% will be from counts 10 to 30, right? And looking at those and then looking down, that's from 3 to 8. So the IQR would be 8 minus 3, or 5. Finally, the range. Well, the range is just the max, 10, minus the min, 1. So you get 9. And we are almost done. I was just going to show you, this is what an ogive, or cumulative frequency distribution, looks like for a normal distribution. So one way you can check if something's approximately normal, if you get a graph like this for cumulative frequency, then it probably is a normal distribution.